Let's begin by offering our respects to the founder Acharya of ISKCON, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Vanchakalpa Taruvyascha Kripa Sindhu Vya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, so what did we see in the previous class?
Prayers of demigods.
Yes, prayers by the demigods. For whom?
Krishna.
For Krishna. And where is Krishna now? In our Krishna book?
In the womb of Devaki.
Yes, in the womb. So they're offering prayers in their invisible form to Krishna in the womb. Okay, so what do they say? Basically, the crux is by surrendering to Krishna's lotus feet, one can cross the ocean of material manifestation very easily, because the vast ocean is reduced to the water that can be held in the hoof print. Yeah, in the calf's hoof print. And they also explain how the lotus feet of Krishna is the boat by which one can cross this ocean. So when the great saints, they cross the ocean, they don't take the boat along with them. The boat is still there for the other conditioned souls to be able to make use of it and be able to cross the vast ocean of material manifestation. And we also saw how it's only by devotional service that one can go back home, back to Godhead. Also, Srila Prabhupada writes in his commentary how the impersonalists, because they do not believe that God has a form, therefore they do not surrender to the lotus feet. Because if the Lord is formless, then where is the question of feet? No, so they don't surrender to the lotus feet. But it is the lotus feet of Krishna, which is the boat by which one can cross over the ocean of material existence. So in today's class, we will be continuing with the prayers by the demigods. And we will finish this chapter if Krishna so sanctions. Who can read?
I can read Mataji.
Okay, thank you, Shreya. So we have to start from slide 40. Let's go.
Our dear Lord, the demigods continued, you have appeared in your original unalloyed form, the eternal form of goodness, for the welfare of all living entities within this material world. Taking advantage of your appearance, all of them can now very easily understand the nature and form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Persons who belong to the four divisions of the social order, the brahmacharis, grihasthas, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis, can all take advantage of your appearance.
So when Krishna appears in this material world, he appears still in his original unalloyed form. His body is still spiritual. It's not that by coming in contact with material nature, now Krishna's body is material. So that's what the demigods mean by saying that when you have appeared in your original unalloyed form, the eternal form of goodness. So that form, the body that Krishna has, even in the material world, is eternal. It's the original form. It's in that form in which he is residing in Golok Vrindavan. And why has he appeared? For the welfare of all living entities. Yes, Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. The devotees are very dear to the Lord. But the Bhagavatam in many places describes Krishna as also Kripana Vatsala. Kripana Vatsala, even the conditioned souls, the fallen conditioned souls are also dear to the Lord. So he comes for the welfare of all the living entities, and everyone can take advantage of his appearance, irrespective of whether one is a brahmachari or a grihastha or a vanaprastha or a sannyas. One doesn't have to necessarily be a sannyasi to be able to go back home, back to Godhead. Even in the grihastha ashram, living with your families, one can realize God and go back to Krishna. Next.
Dear Lord, husband of the goddess of fortune, devotees who are dovetailed in your service do not fall down from their high position like the impersonalists. Being protected by you, the devotees are able to traverse over the heads of many of Maya's commanders-in-chief who can always put stumbling blocks on the path of liberation. Dear Lord, you appear in your eternal transcendental form for the benefit of the living entities so that they can see you face to face and offer their worshipful sacrifices by ritualistic performance of the Vedas, mystic meditation, and devotional service as recommended in the scriptures. Dear Lord, if you did not appear in your eternal transcendental form, full of bliss and knowledge, a form which can eradicate all kinds of speculative ignorance about your position, then all people would simply speculate about you according to their respective modes of material nature.
So what name of Krishna means that he is the husband of the goddess of fortune?
Madhava. Madhava.
Madhava, yes. And one more name?
Lakshmipati.
Lakshmipati, yes, very nice. Okay, so what are the demigods saying? Devotees who are dovetailed in your service do not fall down from their high position like the impersonalists. So the impersonalists, what kind of liberation they get? Out of the five, what are the five kinds of liberation, first of all?
You get that Brahma Jyoti.
Yes, they merge into the Brahma Jyoti, Sayogya, isn't it? What are the five kinds of liberation? Salokya, Samipya,
Samita, Swarupya,
Swarupa.
Sarupya, Sarshti,
Sakshti.
and Sayogya. So out of these five, the impersonalists get the Sayogya Mukti, which means that they are merging into the Brahma Jyoti. Now, because it's the nature of the soul to be active, what happens is in the Brahma Jyoti, they just exist. There is a lot of peace and tranquility, and there is relief from birth, death, disease, and old age. But because there is no activity, they just exist in the light. What happens over a period of time? They fall down because it's the nature of the soul to be active, and there is no service that they can render when they are in the Brahma Jyoti. So therefore, they come back. In the other four In the other four liberation, this does not happen. So one who is doing service, because they are engaged in devotional service, even in the spiritual world, they do not fall down from high position like the impersonalists. And they are protected, because they are protected by Krishna, they are able to cross over many stumbling blocks which Maya puts in front of us. Why? Because it is Maya's duty, or it's the service that is allotted to her to put in front of us many stumbling blocks, many temptations, which we have to overcome. But if we take the shelter of Krishna, then we can very easily overcome such temptations, such stumbling blocks coming in our way of our spiritual progress. So Krishna's form is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. Eternal means Sat, full of knowledge is Chit, and full of bliss is Ananda. So Krishna is Sat Chit Ananda, and when he comes to the material world, also he is still Sat Chit Ananda. Even the spirit soul, we, the spirit souls, we are also Sat Chit Ananda, because we are parts and parcels of Krishna. But because we have accepted this material body, therefore, we are going through birth, death, disease, and old age. But actually, the soul does not grow old. The soul does not take birth. Soul does not die. Next.
The appearance of Krishna is the answer to all imaginative iconography of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone imagines the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to his mode of material nature. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord is the oldest person. Therefore, a section of religionists imagine that God must be very old, and therefore they depict a form of the Lord like a very old man. But in the same Brahma Samhita that is contradicted, although he is the oldest of all living entities, he has his eternal form as a fresh youth. The exact words used in this connection in Srimad Bhagavatam are Vijnanam Ajnan Vidapamarajanam. Vijnanam means transcendental knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vijnanam is also experienced knowledge. Transcendental knowledge has to be accepted by the descending process of disciplic succession as Brahma presents the knowledge of Krishna in the Brahma Samhita. The Brahma Samhita is Vijnanam as realized by Brahma's transcendental experience, and in that way he presented the form and the pastimes of Krishna in the transcendental abode.
So the appearance of Krishna is the answer to all imaginative iconography of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, because Krishna has personally appeared, we know what's the color of Krishna's skin, what is the musical instrument that he plays, what he decorates his head with a peacock feather, and so many other details about Krishna we know because Krishna has personally appeared on this planet. So one cannot say that, oh, God must be like this, God must be like that. There is no need for anyone to imagine how God must be. Krishna has appeared in order to answer all those imaginative ideas that one may have in one's mind. That's why we worship the deity, and the deity is a representative of the Lord. Therefore, people who make murtis, not the authorized ones who make the murtis, they make the murti exactly how the Shastra describes about how God is. One cannot make a murti and say that, okay, this is God, according to one's own imagination. That is not Shastric, and such deity should not be worshipped also. See, Brahma Samhita, in the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord is the oldest person. So what is the Brahma Samhita? Who has written, or who is the author of Brahma Samhita, or who spoke the verses in the Brahma Samhita?
Lord
Is it Brahma?
Yes, Lord Brahma himself, isn't it? And how many chapters are there in the Brahma Samhita?
Is it 8?
No.
More than that.
It has a total of 100 chapters. Out of that, how many chapters are available to us? In the Veda base, we have Brahma Samhita. So how many chapters we have in the Veda base? Anybody knows? Okay, only the 5th chapter of the Brahma Samhita is available. All the other chapters are not available to us. This 5th chapter also was actually discovered by Lord Chaitanya in a temple in Tamil Nadu. and he copied it out. With his hand, okay, he copied it out. So, and that's the reason why we have this copy. And the translation of this 5th chapter of the Brahma Samhita is made available to us by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So this is what we have in our Veda base. So anyway, in the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma prays that the Lord is the oldest person. Oldest person means everything and everyone has come from him. Nobody, he has not come from someone. If God comes from somebody else, then that somebody else is superior to the Lord. No? But who can be greater than God? So God is the oldest person. And immediately the Brahma Samhita, in the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma says that he has an eternal form as fresh as youth. So it may appear that it is contradictory, that he is old, but he is fresh youth. How is that possible? That's the spiritual calculation. Both are correct. Both statements are correct. He is oldest, but he is still youthful, because Krishna is living eternally as a 16-year-old boy in Golok Vrindavan. Let us see this verse from the Brahma Samhita. See, here are the words. Where is it? Yeah. Purana Purusham. He is the oldest person, and immediately Lord Brahma says Nava Yauvanam. So he is Purana Purusham, he is the oldest Purusha, he is the oldest person, and he is also youthful. Nava Yauvanam. Yauvanam means youth. Nava Yauvanam means blooming youth. Let's read the translation here.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha, yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth.
So what name of Krishna means that he has no beginning? From the synonyms?
Another.
Adi,
Yes, Anadim, right? Anadim. And the fact that he has no end, what's the Sanskrit word for that?
Ananta?
Ananta, yes. Anadim and Ananta. He has no beginning and he has no end. Okay, let's come back to our Krishna book.
this knowledge of Agnan Marajanam, that which can smash all kinds of speculation and ignorance. People are imagining the form of the Lord. Sometimes he has no form and sometimes he has form, according to the different imaginations. But the presentation of Krishna in the Brahma Samhita is Vijnanam, scientific, experienced knowledge given by Lord Brahma and accepted by Lord Chaitanya. There is no doubt about it. Krishna's form, Krishna's flute, Krishna's color, everything is reality. Here it is said that this Vijnanam is always defeating all kinds of speculative knowledge. Therefore, without your appearing as Krishna, as you are neither Agnana Pidam Marajanam, destruction of the nascence of speculative knowledge, nor Vijnanam would be realized. In other words, your appearance will vanquish the ignorance of speculative knowledge and establish the real experienced knowledge of authorities like Lord Brahma. Men influenced by three modes of material nature imagine their own God according to the modes of material nature. In this way, God is presented in various ways, but your appearance will establish what the real form of God is.
So Brahma Samhita is Vijnanam. So we have Jnana and we have Vijnana. Jnana is the theoretical knowledge and Vijnana is the application of that knowledge. So Brahma Samhita is Vijnanam, or it is the knowledge as realized by Lord Brahma himself. And he has presented his Vijnana in the Brahma Samhita when Lord Brahma is offering prayers to Krishna. That's why you will see there is this whole section of the Brahma Samhita, which is called as the Brahma Samhita prayers, and all these verses end with this line, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Lord Brahma at the end of every prayer, he ends like this. He is offering obeisances to Govinda. He's offering obeisances to Lord Krishna, and he calls him Adi Purusham. He's the original Purusha, and I offer my obeisances. Tam aham bhajami. So this is this Brahma Samhita is the realized knowledge or Vijnana of Lord Brahma, and it is also accepted by Lord Chaitanya, who is none other than Krishna himself. So when Krishna appears, what are the two things that are happening? There is destruction of the nascence of speculative knowledge. So nascence means ignorance. So people who are ignorant, they start to speculate, no, as we discussed, God may be like this, or God must be doing this, or so sometimes, God is depicted as this person who's a very serious faced man with a long white beard and very strict, the stick in a hand. But that's not the concept of God. That's not how Krishna appeared in this material world. So when Krishna personally appears, then we know exactly how he looks. So when he appears, then we can remove the destruction of the nascence of speculative knowledge, and also there can be proper application of the knowledge. There can be vijnana. These are the two things the demigods say happen when Krishna descends. Now see, men influenced by the three modes of material nature imagine their own God according to the modes of material nature. So if somebody is in the mode of goodness, then they imagine God in a certain way, passion in a certain way, and ignorance in a certain way. So see here, Srila Prabhupada explains in this purport from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Let's read this.
In material consciousness, however, even one who is situated in the mode of goodness is susceptible to pollution by the modes of passion and ignorance. When the mode of goodness is mixed with the modes of passion, one worships the sun god Vivashvan. When the mode of goodness is mixed with the mode of ignorance, one worships Ganapati or Ganesha. When the mode of passion is mixed with the mode of ignorance, one worships Durga or Kali, the external potency. When one is simply in the mode of ignorance, one becomes a devotee of Lord Shiva because Lord Shiva is a predominating deity of the mode of ignorance within this material world. However, when one is completely free from the influence of all modes of material nature, one becomes a pure Vaishnava on the devotional platform.
So when one worships the Devatas, then it's because he's in the different modes of material nature, as Srila Prabhupada has explained in this purport. Now we have to understand that the different devatas, they are the different administrators of the universe, and they are in charge of different departments. Like as we see here, Lord Shiva is a predominating deity of the mode of ignorance. So he's in charge of the mode of ignorance. Lord Brahma is in charge of the mode of passion. And Lord Vishnu is in charge of the mode of goodness. So these, like that, there are different devatas in charge for different activities. And the sun god is worshipped by people who want good health. If somebody wants a good wife, beautiful wife, then they worship Lord Shiva. If somebody wants a good husband, then they worship Goddess Durga. So all this is not pure devotional service. All this is karma kanda, or what we call as material religiosity. We are engaging in some religious practices, but because we want something in return. So that is not pure devotion. That's not spontaneous love for the Lord. Spontaneous love for the Lord or pure devotional service means anya abhilashita shunyam. As we read in the Nectar of Devotion, anya abhilashita shunyam. Shunyam means zero. Anya abhilashita means all other desires are zero. One has no other desire but simply to serve the Lord or simply to please the Lord. That's just the only desire. So that is what is pure devotional service. Here there are some quotes on this subject matter. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's read the translation.
A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead.
So it's intelligence to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's lesser intelligent to worship a Devata. Why?
Because all the devatas are under God and God Lord Krishna. So if you're worshipping Lord Krishna, they'll all be satisfied.
Yes, when we worship Krishna, then automatically all the devatas are also satisfied. Very nice. Because even the devatas are devotees. And they also want, their desire also is for us to go to Krishna. When one is actually very sincere, the devatas also will direct you to Krishna. We have this example of the person of this businessman who wanted the most valuable thing, and he worshipped Lord Shiva. Where did Lord Shiva send him? He sent him to, who knows that story of the touchstone? We have discussed this in the Gita classes. Okay. So Lord Shiva sends him to Sanatan Goswami, and he tells Sanatan Goswami that Lord Shiva has sent me to you. Please give me the most valuable thing that you have. And he says that I have a touchstone. You can, touchstone is, I mean, whatever you touch with a touchstone turns into gold. What more does one want to become the most powerful and the richest man on the planet, isn't it? So he tells him, yes, the touchstone is there, you can take it. So he says, where is it? He says that there it is in the garbage outside. And then he goes to take it and he's happy. But then he says, hold on, wait a minute. He realizes that if this is the most valuable thing, why is it in the garbage? Definitely he has something more valuable than this. So then he goes back to Sanatan Goswami and he tells him that there is definitely something more valuable that you have. And then what is it that he receives?
The Mahamantra.
Mahamantra.
The Mahamantra, isn't it? The holy name of the Lord. So like that, you see, Lord Shiva has sent this person who worshipped him to a pure devotee so that he can get Krishna Prema and he can realize this human birth and go back home, back to Godhead. So when one is sincere, you will see there are stories and there are histories where the demigods redirect the sincere seekers to Krishna. Okay, more reasons why it is more intelligent to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead instead of worshipping devatas. What did we read in the Bhagavad Gita? That when a devata sanctions a boon, who is actually sanctioning it behind the scenes?
Lord Krishna.
Lord Krishna.
Yes, Krishna is
He
the one
resides
who
in the
is,
seekers.
Krishna permits, and it's the demigod who gives. There is this statement in the Bhagavatam, which we saw in our Gita classes, no, that the demigods are agents of karma. So according to karma, they can grant one's desire, but beyond the law of karma, they cannot give, they cannot grant. And it's Krishna who has to sanction it for the demigod to give it to us. Just like how a president has different ministers, whatever one needs, the president can sanction it. The ministers, if they have to give it to us, then it has to be first sanctioned by the president of the country. Only when something is sanctioned by the president of the country, then only it becomes the law of the land, isn't it? The ministers cannot act independently. So therefore, it is more intelligent to worship Krishna because Krishna is the supreme whole. Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mata Parataram Nanyat. He says everything has come from me. So therefore, it's wiser, it's more intelligent to worship the supreme whole instead of worshipping the parts and parcels. There are more references with regard to the subject matter. Let's read.
It is also stated in the Skanda Purana, Vasudevam Parityaya Yonya Devam Upasate Swamataram Parityajya Swapachim Vandate Hi Saha. A person who worships the demigods and gives up Lord Vasudev is like a man who gives up the protection of his mother for the shelter of a witch.
So Vasudevam Parityaja. Parityaja means to give up. So one who gives up Vasudev and he is worshipping the Devatas, Devam Upasate. Then that is equal to what? Swamataram Parityaja. To give up the worship of your own mother and Vandate he says. So to worship the Pachim or take the shelter of a witch. So this is from the Skanda Purana. And Krishna himself says the same thing in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7. Let's read.
Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Purport excerpt. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 5.142, it is said, Ekale Ishvara Krishna Ara Sabha Pritya. Only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is master and all others are servants. Therefore, a pure devotee never goes to demigods for satisfaction of his material needs. He depends on the Supreme Lord, and the pure devotee is satisfied with whatever he gives.
So one may think that, oh, why do you Hare Krishnas only talk about Krishna? We are asked this question many times, but there are so many Shastric references and so much Shastric evidence that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that Krishna is the Supreme Whole. Krishna himself said it in the Bhagavad Gita, and also the great Acharyas have accepted Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the Devatas, like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, even they have accepted Krishna. We saw how Brahma prays in the Brahma Samita, no? Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So the Devatas, the great sages, the great authorities, and Krishna himself, they have all said the same thing. There is no contradiction anywhere. So what does Krishna say? That who surrenders unto demigods because of material desires? Those who are less intelligent, those whose intelligence has been stolen away. So it is less intelligent to worship the demigods for material desires. Why? Because what happens very soon when death strikes, all that we have acquired materially, everything is going to, we are going to have to give away everything or leave everything and go away. So what is the point in working so hard to accumulate that which is going to be brutally taken away from us at the time of death?
The highest blunder committed by the impersonalist is to think that when the incarnation of God comes, he accepts the form of matter in the mode of goodness. Actually, the form of Krishna or Narayana is transcendental to any material idea. Even the greatest impersonalist, Shankaracharya, has admitted Narayana Paro Vyaktat. The material creation is caused by the avyakta, impersonal manifestation of matter or the non phenomenal total reservoir of matter, but Krishna is transcendental to that material conception. That is expressed in Srimad Bhagavatam as Sudha Sattva or transcendental goodness. He does not belong to the material mode of goodness and he is above the position of material goodness. He belongs to the transcendental eternal status of bliss and knowledge.
So what is this Mayavad philosophy? The Mayavad philosophy, they think that when Krishna descends, then he accepts the form of matter in the mode of goodness. So they think that he has a material body in the mode of goodness. So that's why many times Krishna is described as an ordinary human being with extraordinary powers, with mystic powers. And they say that yes, Krishna had some mystic powers, but actually he was an ordinary human being. So we have to understand that when Krishna descends, he still has this spiritual form of Satchit Ananda. So even Shankaracharya, who is the chief exponent of the Mayavad philosophy, and even Shankaracharya has said that yes, material creation is caused by matter, but Krishna is transcendental. Krishna is not made up of matter. Even though he's the chief exponent of the Maya philosophy, still he said that Krishna is transcendental. He is not material. His body is not material. So what is a Shuddha Sattva? Shuddha Sattva is beyond even the mode of goodness. So we know that there are three modes of material nature: mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. But even beyond the mode of goodness, even beyond the Sattva Guna is the Shuddha Sattva or the mode of transcendental goodness. So Krishna does not belong to the mode of goodness. He does not belong to the Sattva Guna. He belongs to the Shuddha Sattva, that which is beyond even the mode of goodness, because that is the transcendental stage. Mode of goodness is still also very much material. Next.
Dear Lord, when you appear in your different incarnations, you take different names and forms according to different situations. Lord Krishna is your name because you are all attractive. You are called Shyama Sundara because of your transcendental beauty. Shyama means blackish, yet it is said that you are more beautiful than thousands of cupids. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya. Although you appear in a color which is compared to the blackish cloud, because you are the transcendental absolute, your beauty is many, many times more attractive than the delicate body of Cupid. Sometimes you are called Giridhari because you lifted the hill known as Govardhan. You are sometimes called Nandananda or Vasudeva or Devki Nandana because you appear as a son of Maharaj Nanda or Vasudev or Devki. Impersonalists think that your many names or forms are given according to a particular type of work and quality because they accept you from the position of a material observer.
So many names of Krishna we have learned in this paragraph. The name Krishna means he is all attractive. Why is Krishna all attractive? What is it that he has that makes him all attractive?
6 opulences:
Yes, the 6 opulences. What are the 6 opulences?
beauty, wealth, fame, renunciation, uh,
Two more.
Knowledge and
Knowledge. One more.
knowledge.
strength.
Yeah, wealth. Did we say strength?
No, strength. So
Strength. Okay. So he has these 6 opulences, and to what extent he has them?
full.
Full extent, isn't it? See, when somebody has even a little bit of intelligence or a little bit of beauty, or he's famous, then he's attractive. We get attracted to the person. We want to meet the person, know the person more. But Krishna has all 6 opulences and he has it to the fullest extent. Therefore, he is all attractive. And why is it that he wants to attract the conditioned souls? For whose benefit?
Our benefit.
Our benefit, so that when we are attracted to him, then we will go to him. No, we will develop the desire to go back to him. Okay, so the name Shyama Sundara means?
Shyam means blackish and Sundar is beautiful.
Yes.
So it's beautiful.
So how beautiful is Krishna? He is more beautiful than thousands of cupids. So this expression Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya is also from the Brahma Samhita. Kandarpa refers to Cupid. Koti means millions and Kamaniya means charming. So Lord Krishna is more beautiful than thousands of Cupid. One of Krishna's names is Madana Mohana. Madana Mohana means he attracts even thousands of Cupids. Okay. What are the names of Krishna are there here? Giridhari. What does that mean?
Who lifted the Govardhan hill.
Yes. Nandanandana.
No, who is a son of Nand Maharaj.
Yes. Vasudev.
Who is a son of Vasudev.
Very nice. Devaki Nandana.
And who is a son of Devaki.
Yes. Okay, very nice. Let's go to the next.
Dear Lord, the way of understanding is not to study your absolute nature, form, and activities by mental speculation. One must engage himself in devotional service, then one can understand your absolute nature and your transcendental form, name, and qualities. Actually, only a person who has a little taste for the service of your lotus feet can understand your transcendental nature or form and qualities. Others may go on speculating for millions of years, but it is not possible for them to understand even a single part of your actual position. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, cannot be understood by the non-devotees because there is a curtain of Yog Maya which covers Krishna's actual features. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7.25, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya, the Lord says, I am not exposed to anyone and everyone. When Krishna came, he was actually present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and everyone saw him. But not everyone could understand that he was a Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still, everyone who died in his presence attained complete liberation from material bondage and was transferred to the spiritual world.
So the only way that we can understand Krishna is by engaging in devotional service, by doing bhakti. Unless we don't serve the Lord, then we are not going to be able to understand Krishna. One may be a great jnani. Sometimes one loses the focus. No, one wants to memorize shlokas. One wants to give a fantastic class. One may want to know Okay, this is the reference here. That is what the shloka says, and want to recite the shlokas. Okay, yes, very attractive. But if there is no bhakti in the heart, if there is no devotion in the heart, then we will not be able to understand Krishna. We have this story in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where Lord Chaitanya visited a temple, and he comes across an illiterate Brahmana outside the temple who's flipping through the pages of the Bhagavad Gita, and he's not able to read properly, and he has tears in his eyes and he's crying. And then Lord Chaitanya approaches him and tells him that, why are you crying? So he says, my spiritual master has given me the instruction to read the entire Bhagavad Gita, all 18 chapters every day. So why are you crying? I'm crying because whenever I see this picture of Krishna pulling the chariot of Arjuna, I get tears in my eyes. How the Supreme Lord Krishna has taken the subordinate position of becoming the chariot driver for his devotee. So then Lord Chaitanya says that, yes, my dear friend, you have perfectly understood the Bhagavad Gita. So he has bhakti in his heart. He's completely illiterate. He cannot read, right? But because the spiritual master has given him the instruction, he's trying to read. And he has understood the Bhagavad Gita to perfection as certified by Lord Chaitanya himself, because he has bhakti in the heart. So the only way we can understand Krishna is by engaging in devotional service. As much as possible, we should try to render service, not have the habit that, yes, I should receive service, I should get service. That's material mentality. Spiritual mentality is that we take a subordinate position and we render devotional service as much as possible to Guru, Krishna, Vaishnavas, like that. So everybody on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, they all attained liberation, even though not all of them understood Krishna, because they have this covering of Maya. Krishna even showed the universal form when he went as a peace messenger, isn't it? But did Duryodhana understand? Even after Krishna showed that universal form, even then Duryodhana wanted to capture Krishna. Because demons are never going to understand. Unless people do not engage in devotional service, they are not going to understand Krishna. Next.
Mataji, I had a question. So, like Duryodhan and Dushasan and all the Kauravas were that, they were like cruel, they disrobed Draupadi and all. But then why did Krishna give him liberation, And then there are people who are not like that, to that extent, they are not like bad or, cruel like that. Still, they are not liberated.
So once somebody commented and said that it's better to be demoniac because one can have fun, and at the same time Krishna is going to kill you because he killed the demons anyway and already attained liberation. So one must not think that, what makes you think that you will become that kind of a demon whom Krishna is going to come and kill? There is a lot happening in the background. Now Duryodhana also see, and when it comes to Krishna, there are certain leelas and there are reasons why he does what he does. In the case of Duryodhana, see, anyone who was personally present on the battle, because Krishna was personally present, everybody attained liberation. That's the mercy potency of Krishna. And whom he personally killed, they also attain liberation because they are all a part of Krishna's Leela. I cannot think of any other answer actually.
Can I suggest something?
Yes.
Okay. What I believe is that, see, even if you take Duryodhana, Kansa, or other Rakshasas whom Krishna either killed himself or in presence of him, they were killed. The main quality they had was they were constantly thinking about Krishna, either in a bad way or good way. Like Kamsa is believed that he was thinking about Krishna, fearing that he is going to come and kill him 24 hours a day throughout his day. So if you are bad or good, if you are thinking about Krishna, then Krishna will liberate you. So same is the case with Duryodhana also, that he was thinking that how to eliminate Krishna from the battlefield, because Krishna was suggesting things to Arjuna whom he finally helped in winning the war. So person who is constantly thinking of Krishna gets liberated ultimately. His karma may be good or bad, but if he continues to think about Krishna, he is going to be liberated by Krishna.
Yeah, so yes, we can say that Kamsa was constantly thinking about Krishna, but not necessarily Duryodhan. Duryodhan was more concerned about defeating Bhim and Arjuna. He was not so much thinking about Krishna as much as he was thinking about Bhim and Arjun.
But if you see, he had planned that when Krishna is coming as a messenger, peace messenger, he was planning to indept Krishna by offering him food. So he was planning on that aspect. But Krishna apparently refused to take food from his house and instead took it from Vidra's. He was constantly thinking that because he insulted me, now whatever proposal he is going to put forward. In fact, when Krishna came down, rather than asking half of the kingdom and came down to say, I just need only 5 villages, Duryodhana rejected that proposal just because he had insulted him the previous. So all throughout, he was planning to get Krishna indebted to him so that he could not accept what Duryodhana had to offer. But Krishna blankly said. So at least for some time, he was thinking about Krishna for a continuous period of time. We can say that. So that is my take.
Okay, fine, fair enough. I mean, I have not come through, I mean, I've not read anything Shastric, but definitely there must be something somewhere with this regard. I can try and research on this and come back in the next class with a better answer. Is that
Mat-
Shreya?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, let's continue.
O Lord, the impersonalists or non-devotees cannot understand that your name is identical with your form. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no difference between his name and his actual form. In the material world, there is a difference between form and name. The mango fruit is different from the name of the mango. One cannot taste the mango fruit simply by chanting mango, mango, mango. But the devotee who knows that there is no difference between the name and the form of the Lord chants Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and realizes that he is always in Krishna's company.
So when we chant the holy name, Krishna is that name. He is not different from that name. That's why the chanting of the holy name is so potent. And when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, it is backed with that much more potency, because as we discussed previously, 1008 names of Vishnu is equal to one name of Lord Ram, and 3 names of Lord Ram is equal to one name of Krishna. So can you imagine how many names are there in that one mantra? And then when we do one round, one mala, how many names are we chanting? And when we do 16 rounds, how many names of the Lord are we chanting? So when we chant, Krishna is that name. He is not different from that name. That is the spiritual calculation. Material calculation is completely different. As this example here, mango fruit is different from the name mango. If one wants to taste mango just by saying mango, mango, he's not going to be able to relish it unless he goes and actually has the mango and he eats it. He's not going to relish the taste. That is material calculation. But spiritual calculation is the exact opposite. Krishna and his name are not different from each other. So that's why we should not take this chanting for granted. Sometimes we may have the tendency to take it for granted that no, whenever we chant, we have to remember this is Krishna. He is not different from that. Next.
For persons who are not very advanced in absolute knowledge of the Supreme, Lord Krishna exhibits his transcendental pastimes. Such persons can simply think of the pastimes of the Lord and get full benefit. Since there is no difference between the transcendental name and form of the Lord, there is no difference between the transcendental pastimes and the form of the Lord. For those who are less intelligent, like women, laborers, or the mercantile class, the great sage Vyasadeva wrote the Mahabharata. In the Mahabharata, Krishna is present in his different activities. The Mahabharata is history, and simply by studying, hearing, and memorizing the transcendental activities of Krishna, the less intelligent can also gradually rise to the standard of pure devotees.
So who are the less intelligent? 3 categories are given here.
Women, laborers, and mercantile class.
Okay, so why women are less intelligent?
We discussed this in Bhagavad Gita. So men can detach easily rather than women. Women are more emotional, so men can take up devotional service in a quicker way than women, and that's the reason.
Okay, so women are more emotionally inclined. So they are more run by the heart, but the men are more the men use their intelligence more than the women. So therefore, it's easier to what do you call it? I'm not getting the right word. Manipulate. It's easy to manipulate women. It's a little more difficult to manipulate the men. So because women are emotionally inclined, therefore they are less intelligent. Then what are the other laborers or the mercantile class? So we have Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. The Shudras are the least inclined in spirituality, and a little higher than them are the mercantile class. So actually Mahabharata is considered to be a scripture for the less intelligent, because the Mahabharata is narrated in such a way it attracts the less intelligent people. There is so much drama that is going on. No, there is action, there is everything that is there in a Bollywood masala movie if you go to see, because of the politics and the family issues, and then they are banished in the forest, and all these weapons and politics that's going on. So it's actually very, very attractive for people to read. So people will take to reading the Mahabharata. Once you start reading the Mahabharata, it is so engrossing, it's hard to stop reading the Mahabharata. And as the person reads, suddenly you come across Bhagavad Gita, and which is speaking the highest philosophy. So what happens is, because the person has read so much in the Mahabharata, now he comes across the Bhagavad Gita, he will read the Bhagavad Gita because it's a part of the book, and he's so engrossed in the book that now, yes. So like that, this highest philosophy is put inside the Mahabharata in order to attract the less intelligent people. That's the reason why Vyasadeva composed Mahabharata, to attract the less intelligent people. It's for the benefit of the less intelligent people who are more interested in the mundane topics. They are not so much interested in the philosophy. If Bhagavad Gita is not a part of the Mahabharata, not everybody is going to be reading it. Mahabharata attracts more people than Bhagavad Gita, attracts more less intelligent people than the Bhagavad Gita, because people are usually interested in mundane topics than they are interested in the philosophy of life. So see here, there is a Bhagavatam reference. Let's read the translation.
Out of compassion, the great sage thought it wise that this would enable men to achieve the ultimate goal of life. Thus, he compiled the great historical narration called the Mahabharata for women, laborers, and friends of the twice born.
So this Mahabharata was especially compiled by Vyasadeva for women, laborers, and friends of the twice born, for the less intelligent people, so that even they can attain the goal of life. Who are friends of the twice born? Who are twice born, first of all?
Okay, Brahmanas.
Yes, the Brahmanas are referred to as twice born. So friends of the twice born are those who are born in Brahmanical families, or Kshatriya or Vaishya, or spiritually cultured families, but they are not following the spiritual values that their ancestors used to follow. So therefore, they are not recognized as being as pure as their ancestors, because now they are in a contaminated state, and therefore they have to undergo some purificatory process. So therefore, they are called as friends of the twice born families. They are not accepted as twice born, but friends of the twice born, because they have to undergo purificatory process. Okay, let's go back to Krishna.
The pure devotees, who are always absorbed in the thought of the transcendental lotus feet of Krishna and who are always engaged in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, are never to be considered to be in the material world. Srila Rupa Goswami has explained that those who are always engaged in Krishna consciousness with body, mind, and activities are to be considered liberated even within this body. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Those who are engaged in the devotional service of the Lord have already transcended the material position. Krishna appears in order to give a chance to both the devotees and the non-devotees for realization of the ultimate goal of life. The devotees get the direct chance to see him and worship him. Those who are not on that platform get the chance to become acquainted with his activities and thus become elevated to the same position.
So see, not everybody who walks the planet is a fallen conditioned soul. Not everybody who walks this planet is not liberated. There are liberated souls even existing on this planet. One can be here in the material world and still be liberated. How? When one is always engaged in Krishna conscious activities, then even though he is in a material body in the material world, still he is considered to be a liberated soul. Therefore, he is much more elevated than the other conditioned souls. Sometimes people say, oh, why should we accept Bhagavatam as authority because it is written by Vyasadeva? Vyasadeva is also a human being. Vyasadeva bhi to insan hai, they will say. So human beings have written all these scriptures. So why should we accept? They are also human beings like us. So why should we accept? But no, not everybody is at the same level. One can be here in the material world, in a material body, but can be liberated by engaging in devotional service, by constantly engaging in devotional service. So therefore, we have to accept the authority of such great personalities and not think that they are just like us. No, they are not. Especially Vyasadeva is an empowered incarnation. He's empowered to compose all Vedic literature. He's a Shaktya Vesha avatar. Therefore, we have to accept the books written by Vyasadeva. Let's read this from the Nectar of Devotion by Rupa Goswami.
Sri Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu describes this as follows. Iha yasya harer dasye karma na manasa gira nikhilashva api avasthasu jivan muktaha sa uchyate. A person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, in the service of Krishna with his body, mind, intelligence, and words, is a liberated person even within the material world, although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities.
So this is again a Shastric reference as to how one can be in a liberated state even within the material world. Krishna book, let's go back to it.
A dear Lord, O Supreme Controller, when you appear on earth, all the demons like Kamsa and Jarasan will be vanquished and all good fortune will be ushered into the world. When you walk on the globe, your lotus feet will impress on the ground the marks of your souls, such as the flag, the trident, and the thunderbolt. Thus you will grace both the earth and us on the heavenly planets who shall see those marks.
So Krishna has certain markings on his feet, and when he walks, then those marks can be seen. So you can see some of the marks here. Demons like Kamsa and Jarasandha will be vanquished. In our first class, we discussed relationship between Kamsa and Jarasandha. Who remembers?
So Jarasandha is father-in-law of Kans.
Yes, Kamsa's queens are daughters of Jarasandha. What are the names of Kamsa's two queens? Who remembers?
Ashti and
Ashti and
Prapti.
Prapti. Yes, very nice. Okay, next.
O dear Lord, the demigods continued, you are unborn, therefore we do not find any reason for your appearance other than for your pleasurable pastimes. Although the reason for the appearance of the Lord is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, he descends just to give protection to the devotees and vanquish the non-devotees. Actually, he descends for his pleasure meeting with the devotees, not really to vanquish the non-devotees. The non-devotees can be vanquished simply by one kick of material nature. The actions and reactions of material nature, creation, maintenance, and annihilation, are being carried out automatically. But simply by your taking shelter of your holy name, the devotees are fully protected because your holy name and your personality are non-different. The protection of the devotees and the annihilation of the non-devotees are actually not the business of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he descends, it is just for his transcendental pleasure. There cannot be any other reason for his appearance.
So the Lord is specifically coming for whom and for what?
for protecting his devotees.
Yes, he's coming especially for his devotees, to give pleasure to his devotees, to attract them. So his, although Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that he is coming to vanquish the demons and he's coming to, what's that verse? Paritranaya sadhunam. He's coming to protect the devotees, vinashaya cha dushkritam, to destroy the miscreants and to re-establish the principles of religion, dharma sansthapanarthaya. But his main mission is to attract his devotees, because killing the demons, he can also send his agent to do that. Why? I mean, he can just send his Sudarshan Chakra and get the demons destroyed, isn't it? So Krishna is personally coming especially for his devotees because he is Bhakta Vatsala. Next.
Dear Lord, you are appearing as the best of the Yadu dynasty, and we are offering a respectful, humble obeisances unto your lotus feet. Before this appearance, you also appeared as a fish incarnation, as the horse incarnation, as a tortoise incarnation, as the half-man, half-lion incarnation, as a boar incarnation, as a swan incarnation, as King Ramachandra, as Parshuram, and as many other incarnations. You appear just to protect the devotees, and we request you in your present appearance as a Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself to give us similar protection all over the three worlds and remove all obstacles for the peaceful execution of.
So he has appeared as a fish incarnation. What's this name? What's the name of the incarnation?
Mritsya?
Matsya.
Horse incarnation?
Hayagriva.
Hayagriva, yes. Hayagriva had the head of a horse and he killed Madhu and Kaitava, two demons. And he also delivered Vedic knowledge to Lord Brahma. The Srimad Bhagavatam describes this in the 7th canto. Then tortoise
Is this one
incarnation.
of the 10 avatars?
Kurma Avatar.
No, this is not amongst the 10 popularly called avatars. Okay. Kurma avatar is a tortoise incarnation. What did the tortoise incarnation do?
Saved the earth from.
In Samudra Manthan.
Yeah, when the ocean was churned, it was this tortoise that went
bring the
inside the
Sumeru
ocean,
Parvat.
so that yes, it acted as a base for the mountain that was used as a churning rod. Very nice. Half man, half lion incarnation is
Narsimha.
Lord Narsimha. He came to save whom?
Prahlad.
Prahlad. Who's the boar incarnation?
That was when the earth was getting drowned. He took it up.
Yes. What's his name?
Varaha.
Varaha. Yes. Swan incarnation. Swan incarnation. What is a swan called in Sanskrit?
Hamsa.
Hamsa, yes. So that incarnation also called Lord Hamsa. And he had appeared before Lord Brahma when Lord Brahma was asked some questions by his own sons, his old Manasaputra, mind-born sons, and he was puzzled by those questions. Then Lord Hamsa appeared in order to solve the dilemma of Lord Brahma. This is there in the 11th canto. Then King Ramachandra.
Lord Ram. Yeah, Lord Ram.
Yes, he is what? Purushottam?
Maryada Purushottam.
Maryada Purushottam. No? Krishna is Leela Purushottam. Lord Ramachandra is Maryada Purushottam. At every step of his life, he displayed spotless character and morality. No? That's why he is called as Maryada Purushottam. Even when Lord Ram was sent to the forest, he didn't speak anything bad about. If you read the Ramayana, not even once did he speak anything bad about even Kaikai, who actually sent him to the forest. Not even once. He's Maryada Purushottam. Parashuram. Okay, Parashuram is the only incarnation who coexisted with other incarnations like Ram and Krishna. He appears in the Ramayana as well as he appears in the Mahabharata. Who are the famous disciples of Parashuram?
Bhishma.
Bhishma.
Karna.
Karna?
Bhishma, Dronacharya, and Karna.
Yes, yes, exactly. Bhishma, Dronacharya, and Karna. These were the three disciples of Parshuram. From the Mahabharata and also from the Ramayana. Okay, next.
Dear Mother Devki, within your womb is the Supreme Personality of Godhead appearing along with all his plenary extensions. He is the original personality of Godhead appearing for our welfare. Therefore, you should not be afraid of your brother, the king of Bhoja. Your son, Lord Krishna, who is the original personality of Godhead, will appear for the protection of the pious Yadu dynasty. The Lord is appearing not alone, but accompanied by his immediate plenary portion, Baladev.
Okay, so Baladev is the immediate plenary portion of Krishna. We know that Krishna's first expansion is Balaram, which we read initially in the chapter, isn't it? Next.
Devki was very much afraid of her brother Kamsa because he had already killed so many of her children. So she was very anxious about Krishna. In the Vishnu Puran, it is stated that in order to pacify Devki, all the demigods, along with their wives, used to visit her to encourage her not to be afraid that her son would be killed by Kamsa. Krishna, who was within her womb, was to appear not only to diminish the burden of the world, but specifically to protect the interest of the Yadu dynasty and certainly to protect Devki and Vasudev. It is understood that Krishna had been transferred from the mind of Vasudev to the mind of Devki and from there to her womb. Thus, all the demigods worship Devki, the mother of Krishna. After thus worshipping the transcendental form of the Lord, all the demigods, with Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva placed in front, departed for their heavenly abodes. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second chapter of Krishna, prayers by the demigods for Lord Krishna in the womb.
So these demigods have appeared there to offer prayers to Krishna in the womb, specifically because they want to assure Devaki that please do not be afraid, everything will be taken care of. Devaki is very much afraid of her brother because he has already killed 6 of her children. No, they're just born and he has been killing them. So now she is afraid that how my 8th son should also be protected. So in order to assure Devaki, these demigods have come and they are offering prayers and they are glorifying Krishna and showing Devaki how she should not be afraid because Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is now in her womb. So this ends this chapter. In the next class, Krishna willing, we will start with chapter 3, which describes the birth of Krishna. We see how Krishna makes his dramatic appearance in the jail. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you all.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Srila
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Please accept our humble obeisances. Thank you, Mataji. Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Mataji.
Thank you.
Okay. So is there anything that we need to discuss?
Mataji, I had a question. So were all the children of Devki and Vasudev were conceived by the same thing, like how from the mind of Vasudev to mind of Devki, or it was just Krishna?
Okay, so that description is not there in the Krishna book or in the Bhagavatam. That is not mentioned anywhere. So we cannot say, otherwise we will be speculating.
Because like they knew, right, their eighth child would kill Kamsa. So then why would they bear all 7 children, because there may be some reason behind it, or
Why would they bear the children is because they are acting as instruments of Krishna. They know that it is the 8th child. So they know that they have to have 8 children because then, when you know, then you only act as an instrument of the Lord. And we know the background story of how they were actually cursed from the previous lifetime, the Sadgarbhas and all that stuff. So yes, why Krishna did it is because the Sadgarbhas had to come because of the previous curse from the previous lifetime. And why did they conceive is because they are just instruments and they realize it and they just play the part.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Mataji, please share your temple darshan in a Krishna book group, Mataji. So we will take darshan of Shri Radha Kshirchur. No, that is in Canada.
Okay, so I will share it. I will share the pictures in the group.
Mataji, can we all share our Damodar Leela?
Oh yes,
Puja?
of course. Yes, yes,
We
yes.
did it in the Bhagavad Gita group, right? Everybody, every one of us, when we did the Sthapna of the Damodar Leela. So open the group now. We all will share one picture.
Okay, I will do that. I will open up the group so all of you can share your pictures of how you all are worshipping Lord Damodar, and we
Yes,
can all
Mataji.
inspire each other. Okay, I will open up the group shortly after the class. Nice idea. Thank you very much, Devi.
Thank you.
Anything else we need to discuss? All right then. See you all next week. Krishna willing, we will start with chapter number 3. Till then, have a nice, blissful Damodar week in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.